So we have Cormac Murphy, who's in the claret and blue corner, making his Irish Footy Vlogs debut. Welcome onto the show, Cormac.
Thank you very much, Keith, for having me on.
Not a bother at all. And we have in the candy stripe corner, we have the seasoned veteran, really, that is John Paul Fahy. What's the story, JP? I don't think I've ever called you that before, John
You have
Paul
never
Fahy, by the
called
way.
me that, Keith. You've never. I usually only get that at work whenever I've done something wrong. um, aye, all good. Um, so looking forward to Sunday.
Yeah, always looking forward to the cup final. Like, no matter who's in it, from my point of view, it's such a great day out. It's a fantastic day out, except when Bowes and
Mm.
Pats are playing each other, because I just absolutely can't handle that final with Billy, of course. But Cormac, you must be you must be looking forward to this big time, because the last final Drogheda United were in was 2013, where they lost in controversial fashion against Sligo Rovers, and previously they only won it once, which was, it's on your back wall there. People will probably be able to see it, in 2005, which is a long time ago now. They beat Cork City 2-0 in that final to stop Cork City doing the double. But you must be really looking forward to this. I think you said before we came out on the show you've been to the last FAI Cup, the two finals. So going as a Drogheda
Yeah.
fan, you must be ecstatic about the prospect of this.
Oh, absolutely. Like to be at the last two cup finals, it's a great day out for everybody in the league. Like, it doesn't, like, if it's Shelbourne, Derry, whoever it was, Pats Bowes last year. It's a great day out, and for your club to be in it, like, it's so much better. For us this year, it's brilliant. I cannot wait for it. Just like, I don't know how many tickets we've sold, but a good amount. Around 15. I don't know if it's 15 or 16,000 or something. I don't know. No idea, but it'll be a good support from us.
Yeah, it'll actually be good support from both teams, JP, won't it, in fairness? And a lot of people question, because there wasn't a Dublin team in the final, that there wouldn't be a big crowd, but it looks like it's going to be the highest crowd um, outside of a Dublin team being in it. So naturally, you would imagine a Dublin team's going to bring a bigger crowd, because obviously it's in Dublin, etc. and
Across the city, yeah.
etc. So it looks like it's going to be another whopper crowd of this one anyway.
Yeah, and that's what we want to see. We don't want to see finals being played in the Aviva. The 10% of the 10-20% of the capacity. Like you want to see it full to the rafters. And that's exactly what it's been like it was at last year. A couple of years ago we played Shelburne. I think there was about 33,000 or something. I think 25,000 of them were Derry fans. Um, and will we bring that amount this time? I'm not sure.
Hmm.
But I think we'll take it close to 20 anyway. And I think Cormac's just alluded there. Drogheda's about 15 thousand. So it could well push close. I don't think it'll top the 43 and whatever it was last year. But I think we'll probably go close to 40. Maybe.
Yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. As for Derry City, JP, like, they've won the cup six times. The first one in 1989, and their last one in 2022, which you kind of half mentioned there, was a 4-0 win against Shelburne. Probably my least favourite final the last few years, because to be honest with you, the game was over half time, JP. So there wasn't much with the atmosphere, if you get me, in that kind of sense.
Mm.
But that day, a lot of people said that the big pitch suited Derry City. I think Shelburne had just pretty much come up, and that was the first season with Duff, actually, and they got to the
Yeah.
final, finished seventh.
Higgins' first full season as well.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
and obviously it was a great day for Derry City, and fantastic in the cup. It was the first time they won it in 10 years as well, to be fair. So, but how do you see this against Drogheda United? Do you see that as a similar final, not in terms of the result, what's going to happen, but in terms of maybe the thought process from a lot of people maybe going into the final, if that makes sense? A lot of people have Derry City heavy favourites. Would you subscribe to that?
I think if Derry had finished the season kind of in a strong way rather than lost in their last two games, I think it probably would have gone into this final quite similar to how we went in the final 2 years ago. I think because we've sort of uh lost the last two games, we've won two league games since going out of Europe. Um, I think because of that. a lot of people are giving Drogheda a chance, where I think 2 years ago nobody gave Shelbourne a chance, maybe apart from the Shelbourne fans. The big pitch, I think, did suit us 2 years ago. But one thing I've always said about that day, Keith, is another thing that suited us was Damien Duff started Mark Coyle on the bench. And that just allowed Patrick McElhenney the freedom of the Aviva. Because the 4 league games that season, Mark Coyle was brilliant in midfield for Shelbourne that year, and every time we came up against them, but it was only when he went off then we started to get a bit of joy. As you said, it was over by half time. I think McJanet and Jamie McGonigal had given us 2 goals, and I think we scored the third shortly after. And from then it was just about making sure we don't do anything silly, and then we got the penalty and injury time. And I think that was the biggest ever winning margin in a cup final as well. I don't. I think the big pitch could come into play for us against Drogheda. I think we've played them twice in the Brandywell this year. I think it's a bigger pitch than what Weaver's Park is. As in the Brandywell, that is. Obviously the Viva is the biggest pitch in the country. So I think if you look at the 2 Brandywell games, the first game of the season, Drogheda did put it up there. They missed the penalty at 1-0, and then we got a late goal. I think the second game, I think, was a wee bit one-sided, but they did have a lot of injuries for that game. And since they brought in Douglas James Taylor, he's really sparked something in Franz Pirro as well, because the two of them have just been brilliant in the second half of the season. And Drogheda, incidentally, have scored more goals than what the champion Shelbourne did, so they are a threat that at the top end of the pitch.
What is this?
So it's whether we can do stuff. I do think if Rory approaches this the way he's approached the last 2 rounds in the cup and the Pats game, I think against Cork he was a wee bit conservative, but the other 3 games he went out and he attacked, and we were the better team. And I think if he does that on Sunday, I think we'll stand a good chance of winning it.
Yeah, Cormac, Drogheda United like nothing better than to go into a game being total underdogs, or you might call them underdrogs, perhaps. But no, but they do, don't they? It really does suit them, doesn't it? Anytime Drogheda are favourites, it almost puts the shivers down them a little bit. I.e., Wexford in the FAI Cup semi-final, but it kind of suits Drogheda, though, doesn't it? In that sense,
I think it does. Yeah, no. As we were favourites for the game against Wexford, we kind of almost let it go and slip, but in the end, we I mean, fair play to Wexford in that game. Like they battled very well, and I mean, they gave something to shout about for their fans, and they almost did it in the end. So fair play to them for that, for a great game. But yeah, no, I think we definitely suit an underdog status more. So like we're not. I do think Derry have more of a chance than us to win on Sunday. The big pitch on the Aviva is, I mean, we're more used to in United Park. It is a lot smaller, like it's a lot tighter from the penalty box to the sideline, and it kind of doesn't suit a lot of opposing teams. Like, but it suits us more so especially on the counter attacking basis, or we go with the out long ball tactics here and there. Mix it up a little bit, I suppose, in the Aviva, so you can. So,
do you think that might help Drogheda though a little bit in the Aviva? I'll talk about Derry in that sense in their own way in a little bit, but just JP touched on Pirro and Taylor. But do you think maybe, I don't mean a hoofy long ball, but I mean a direct kind of a game in the Aviva to try and maybe pull the Derry centre halves out of position? Probably Conley and Wisdom, I'm guessing, will probably play, and they're good defenders, mightn't be as mobile as the 2 strikers.
Yeah, no, I definitely can see Kev going with something like that now. As I imagine Franz will start on Sunday, because he did play 45 minutes against Dundalk now last week. He was taken off at half time. I presume that's
wrapped
just
in cotton wool there, hasn't he? Really, though, I think.
Yeah, just a precaution, or just to give him some minutes, and I assume Douglas James Taylor will be up front with him, so it'll be like they've worked well together, like Douglas James Taylor has a bit of pace on him. He can hold the ball up as well. He comes into the midfield a lot. He comes deep a lot as well, I've noticed. So he's definitely can mix it up with them too.
Yeah, I think with JP, like with Derry City, you'd imagine will dominate the ball possession. Drogheda will expect that, of course, won't they? So you got that side as well. But the midfield of Derry will be important, that big pitch. And I'm thinking of someone like Adam O'Reilly, who's obviously a very good forager, can get around the pitch. And, the likes of him, you'd think the Aviva might suit him. But as I said, Derry would expect to have the lion's share of possession. It all depends how they move the ball, really.
Yeah, I think going into this game we haven't conceded a goal in the cup run.
They have had a very tough cup run on paper for a cup
I
run.
was
They've
just
played
about to touch
Pats,
on that.
Shelburne and Bowes, for
Just about to
example.
touch on that.
Mm.
Considering the run that we've had, to be going into the final without conceding a goal is pretty impressive. And I think when you look back in the 4 games, I think Cork has probably been the team that's looked more likely to put us out, because I think in that game where Kieran Cole had cleared one off the line, Maguire missed a sitter, I think. Um,
That was
so
a tough game as well, though. You're going to the league leaders in the first division. It's not an
it
easy game.
was, it was, and I know Rory's took a lot of stick for the way he sets up and stuff like that, but I think he got it right down in Turner's Cross. Go down there, soak up with pressure, and get away with a win, and that's what we did. And sometimes that when you are the better team on paper and you're going to a venue like Turner's Cross, you have to maybe approach it like that. But I think on Sunday we're going to be the favourites. Just like 2 years ago, it's how we embrace it. I'm just wondering, will McElhinney be fit to start? I think he's pushing to be in the squad anyway. So I think if you remember back 2 years ago, it was his crossfield ball that got the first goal, got us on the move for the first goal. So I think if he plays on the big pitch, it'll be a big advantage to Derry. As you say, it's how they move the ball, and he's usually instrumental to how we move the ball. And I think everybody Derry City related will be hoping that Sadou Diallo makes an appearance, because obviously he was sent off in the last 2 years ago and missed it, and he probably never thought they would ever get the opportunity again. But here we are, and so I think Diallo will play and O'Reilly will play. It's just whoever he chooses between. I think it's just whoever he chooses between McElhinney and Patchen. I think the team probably pretty much picks itself outside of that.
Cormac, we talked about Drogheda's attacking strengths there, but from your point of view, how did it stop Derry City from playing? Derry City have played well in those cup games against Shelburne, particularly at home, and Pats particularly at home when they've played probably some of their best football this season. But how did Drogheda stop them from potentially playing that way?
I can imagine. I can imagine Drogheda will let them have the ball more so on the big pitch. Like Brian Brennan has been exceptional since the summer. Like him and Dara Markey in there as well. And I don't know if he'll play. I imagine he'll play Farrell. That's I'm unsure whether he'll play Farrell or Heaney in midfield, or will he play Connor Kane? Because Connor Kane is back there, and I'm sure Alicia will probably start at right wing back. So I'm not too sure. Like if you can stop Derry from like their ball playing midfielders, Will Patchen is exceptional. I mean, if you give him time and space, same with McElhinney. Like they're two exceptional footballers. You give them time and space, and they'll catch you out. And Patchen has done it before against Drogheda a number of times. So he has in United Park, in the Brandywell. So it's going to be difficult to stop them from playing that kind of way. Like Derry can mix it up a little with the way that they do play. But I suppose that's why Rory Higgins got a bit of stick this year, is because I don't know whether it's they're too pragmatic on the ball or too stagnant. I don't know whether they just pass. They do pass a lot around the pitch a lot. Like it's just about
The
creating
build up
those
sometimes can be
opportunities.
quite slow. Maybe they're not quick enough from the back.
Yeah,
The
build up play is a lot slower.
Sometimes it can be. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Do you think Drogheda will look to press them though, or I don't think they will personally. I think Drogheda will sit.
I think they'll try and soak up pressure in the 45 in the first half, and don't know. I'd say in the second half, if it's around an hour gone and it's you're still in the game, might end up going for it a little bit more.
Mm.
I mean, personally, I'd be happy with that.
You take it in penalties, I'd say, no bother at all. If
If
it
I
came to
take it
that.
to 80 minutes and then start going.
But what's interesting there, I'm going to get to JP here because Cormac mentioned the two wing backs in obviously Connor Kane and Elisha, who will play wing back. It'll be interesting to see how that dynamic works with the two Derry wingers on the big pitch, obviously Duffy and McMullen. That's going to be very interesting, like who'll force who back, if that makes sense. And I suppose Drogheda with the three centre backs, ideally you're thinking you have an extra protection, don't you, a little bit. Who do you think will play right centre back for Drogheda? Do you think Quinn will play?
Yeah, I'd say it'll be
You could say so as
Quinn.
well, yeah.
I'm just unsure whether Dave Webster will be in. I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah,
imagine he will be, but Aaron Harper Bailey has played well
yeah,
in the
yeah.
last game against Dundalk, and when he came on against Shells in Tulka, he was very good. So, I mean, he's staked a claim, I suppose, now for that spot. But I imagine if Dave Webster's fit, he'll be starting.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting, JP, see if Derry can push them back into a back five, if you get me, as such as well, you know?
Yeah, who knows? With Duffy, Duffy does like to get forward and attack and get a play, like getting at the fullback. So we know what he's all about.
Mm.
I think if Derry dominate the ball, Keith, I think it will force the two wing backs back. You touched on there. We'll Drogheda try and press Derry. I think that's what Derry would want them to do
Mm.
because that would create space in behind for the likes of Duffy and McMullen. Um, it'd be interesting to see if Colin Whelan or Danny Mullen start on Sunday. I know Pat Hogan's been carrying an injury and been left out of the last two games. So and I think Whelan has done absolutely brilliant since he's come in the last few weeks. And look, the rumours are that he's going to leave. So hopefully that he can, if he does leave, then he can go out with a good performance in the cup final. But I think if you're looking at it, you're probably saying Duffy and McMullen are probably going to force Kane and the other guy back into a back five.
Yeah, yeah.
I think um going back to the game at Weavers Park earlier in the season where Drogheda took the lead, and I think was it Davis went off injured.
Was this in the
And it,
2-2, JP?
yeah, and I think Drogheda that night went to a back four after the substitution, and that played right into Derry's hands because Derry then went from 1-0 down to 2-1 up at half time. At half time, Kevin Doherty recognised that, made the sub, went back to back five, compressed Derry, and then got their equaliser near the end of the game. So I don't see him changing from that back five. I think they will, as Cormac said there, they will try and soak up pressure and try and stay in the game, and hopefully then the last 15, 20 minutes take the game to Derry and see what they can get.
I think the worst thing for the game, not from a Derry City point of view, but from the game's point of view. See, I'm remembering back the Derry Shells one as well. Is an early Derry goal. To be honest, for the game itself, could be a disaster. If I'm honest, you just don't know because they could
I think it
overrun
was
Drogheda after that if they get an early goal.
the 18th minute Derry scored that time, so early enough, like, and I think from then on, then as you say, Keith, Derry just overran Shelburne, and if you're a Drogheda fan or you're a neutral going looking for a good game, it's probably what you're feeling, really.
Yeah.
For us, I would take an early goal just to settle the nerves a wee bit. 36 league games they've only scored in the first half and 7 of them.
Yeah, the Aviva just it's such a big pitch, and you really see it when you go and see an FAI Cup final because we're so used to watching, our games in various different pitches throughout. Or even Tallaght Stadium is a big pitch, but the Aviva just feels super sized compared to it. Like,
Massive.
and
Swallow you up if you're not ready.
yeah, the other side of it is though, it means that there's more space a lot of the time, and players have more space and time in the ball in certain instances. But yeah,
It
look,
probably makes it it probably makes it more difficult for Drogheda to maybe implement what they want to do and
exactly.
compact themselves and make it difficult for Derry, just as Cormac alluded to there that they do at United Park, as they sort of just compress the space available. But you say the Aviva's just massive, isn't it?
See, that's the point. It's very important for going to get to Cormac here about Drogheda, that their midfield and their back line are not too far away from each other, and they're leaving spaces in behind in those pockets. But at the same time, you have to be able to block up those spaces as such, but be able to swiftly get up the pitch as well. And that dynamic might be difficult. So that's where maybe the experience of Derry City kind of comes into it a bit more as well, because, you know, they were here 2 years ago, and a lot of the players were here 2 years ago. A lot of the players have got experience, or some of them have played in finals before, like, you know, etc., etc. But as a unit, they haven't. And that's where the experience might come into it, Cormac. Is that something that would concern you from a Drogheda point of view?
Yeah, no, Derry have been here before. They've done it with a lot of these players. So, and with Drogheda, it's more so. Kevin, I'd say it's Kevin Doherty's first time in the final as manager, I think, as well. Same with Dara. Obviously, Dara has with Longford and Shells. I think that was what during COVID, the playoff.
Yeah, the playoff,
game.
yeah.
The playoff, yeah.
It's 20,
I
yeah.
think, yeah. So, I mean, a lot of our players, bar maybe Ryan Brennan, who's played for Drogheda in the FAI Cup Final in 2013.
Scored as well.
And he scored in that one and all. I'd like to see him score again. But no, yeah. Derry have a lot more experience, having only been in it 2 years ago. So they're like, I imagine as like a unit for ourselves, if we can just keep the game plan, keep compact, and just keep going and try and stave off Derry for as long as possible, and try and maybe end up bringing the game to them. Like, it's kind of a bonus this year from my point of view, getting to a cup final, because safety is the number one important thing for me. So
yeah.
That's actually must be a little bit.
That's what I was just thinking there.
Small bit frustrating from a Drogheda point of view, because they're trying to look forward, say, to a cup final, a day out, but it's usually the last day of the season. Whatever happens, happens. But say, just hypothetically, even say you win the cup, there's something at the back of your head thinking, yeah, but we still have to play this playoff game.
We'll have one more game.
You know what I mean? So still at the back of your head, there's still that concern, isn't there? So that must be a little bit difficult to deal with, almost, like, you know?
Like, it's like, would you rather win the cup or go down? Would you rather, like, it could be fairy tale, it could be a nightmare, but like, you could lose both of them. You're in the first division next season.
And Dundalk,
and then it'll be a nightmare. Like,
at least if you were to won the cup and go down, you would still have the carrot of Europe to fall back on.
That's the only thing.
JP, actually, something I wanted to touch on there. You kind of touched on it there, but an interesting one. Who do you actually think will play up front for Derry on the day?
I think Colin Whelan deserves a start. I just don't know. I know Pat Hoban picked up a hamstring injury. I think it was in the Sligo game. Came off. Did he come off the bench against Pats? I can't remember, but he definitely didn't.
No, he didn't. Mullen and Whelan were on.
He didn't take part against Dundalk, I don't think, either. So he hasn't been involved in the last 3 games, so I don't see him starting. Danny Mullen has scored goals this season, so I think he will start, as I would love to see Colin Whelan start alongside him, but I don't see both of them. I think because of Mullen's prowess, he scored. I think he scored 2 against Pats, didn't he?
Against Shells, did he?
He scored 1 against Shells as well. Yeah, so he's definitely the man for the moment in the cup. So I think if Pat Hoban's not fit to start, then I think it's Danny Mullen. I think the two, Whelan and Mullen, started the last 2 games, I think. Together, so it'd be interesting to see if he goes with them, because I thought they had a wee bit of a bounce off one another, I thought, by the 2 of them starting.
We'll certainly ask Drogheda different questions as such with the 3 at the back that wouldn't be used to playing against 2 up front as such either. Isn't that right, Cormac, I suppose?
Yeah, no, not many teams would play 2 up top.
Apart from Drogheda.
Apart from Drogheda, really. There's not many others that I would see.
I think what it would do, Keith, would it be allow us to go into a 4-2-4 when we have the ball, and put Drogheda under pressure that way, like, because then you've got 4, and I know you're still outnumbered with our back 5, but it's still it may create a wee bit of an uncertainty amongst Drogheda if that was the way he was to go with Whelan and Mullen. But I think I think Danny Mullen definitely starts. Yeah, I think Danny
If I
Mullen
was to put
definitely.
a fiver on it, as to say, I'd say Mullen probably start as well.
Mm.
Yeah, I think both of them started. I think against they definitely both started against Dundalk because
Mm,
there was dispute over who had scored the first goal. They both started on Friday night. I
mm,
think they did, yeah, and they both started against Pat. So, and I think William came off with a bit of an injury on Friday, so depends how he is. Well, suppose he's got 9, 10 days, hasn't he, to sort of shake it off. So, um, yeah, you're right. Danny Mullins, I think he's definitely going to start because, as I say, he's got 3 goals in the cup, and I think he's got 7 or 8 in the league as well. Like, so he's definitely showed the kind of striker that that we thought we were signing. Look, he's probably never going to be your number 9 starter every week. But what he does do is when he plays, he gets you big goals, and I think that's what we're going to need on Sunday.
100%. I suppose the final question, let's start with Cormac in this, but what would it mean, Cormac, for you as a Drogheda United fan to be lifting the cup on Sunday evening?
Uh, uh, it would be sensational, like to win the cup. Like it's magic, isn't it? Like if you win it, we don't see much of that in here in Drogheda, winning trophies. I mean, the 2005 one, I wasn't even at because I probably wasn't. I don't think I was anyway. Um, but I remember 2013 vividly well, so I do. Um, and that Anthony Elding heartbreaker. So it'd be magic to win the cup. It always is. It's the showpiece event, so it is. I think the league is the number one usually, but the cup is showpiece. It's
Yeah.
magical if you win it. Heartache if you lose. So
Mm,
it means so much to probably everybody in Drogheda, like so it would as well, especially like the volunteers, like everyone, to the supporters, to staff, to the town. So it would be magical.
So, JP, what would it mean for Derry City? They obviously won it 2 years ago. A bit more used to this kind of scenario. But on the back of, you would say, a disappointing league season, what would it mean to lift the trophy on Sunday evening for Derry City?
It would mean I was going to say it would mean everything, but it probably wouldn't considering the expectation at the start of the season and the reality that it ended up. But what it means is it's European football again next season. And I think that's the very minimum that Derry City need they expect going into the start of any season. Um,
Mm,
Considering at the resources that they have at their disposal. It's unfortunate that they're going into this now literally with European football on the line and obviously you could say they've probably nobody to blame but themselves for the run that they went on in the second half of the season. But they've still got this opportunity now to make something out of the season, a consolation prize, whatever you want to call it, and win it again and just use the disappointment of last Friday night and just seeing Shelburne lifting the trophy in the Brandywell, just use that as motivation to go and win the cup and use it. Hopefully, a cup one they start building again, still start building again towards challenging for the league title. But focusing on Sunday, what it means is European football, and I think that's the very minimum that Derry City need.
mm. Cormac, give us a prediction.
Uh, I I said the other day to a friend that I think 2-1 to Drogheda. I don't know, maybe we'll score first sort of thing for half time. Derry get back into it. It's at 1-1 coming up to 80 minutes. We get some sort of set piece.
Right or over stuff?
He's played this out in Football Manager.
That's what
Yeah.
I take.
He's written this down, hasn't he? And everything and dreamt it out and all those kind of things.
Something like that would be great now. I'll go with 2-1 to Drogheda now. Might as well. I might as well go for Drogheda win.
You'd have to back your team in the
You can't.
final.
You have to back your team in the
You have to
final.
back your team in the final. Yeah, I don't care. JP, what are you going for?
Uh, I'm going to go for Derry to keep their clean sheet record intact, and I'm going to say 2-0.
2-0. Right, so I'm kind of the neutral here, but I think Derry will win it. I do think they'll win it, to be honest. But I do think Drogheda will put up a fight. So 2-1 Derry City for me. So we've all gone different there. So brilliant, guys. Thanks very much for coming on. Fantastic.
Thanks, Keith. Thanks. Good luck,
Thank you
Cormac.
very much, Keith. JB.
Not a bother. He's my share point Sunday evening if you somehow bump into each other. But we'll all be there actually in different areas and stuff like that. But guys at home, give us a prediction.
What area is in? What area is in?
Oh, I'm actually going in with the Drogheda crowd, JP.